I see certain situations where it might be harder. I think of franchising as being a part of the American dream. And part of the American dream is to be able to work on your own terms and to have what you want for yourself and for your family. And so, in an ideal franchise world, you're able to build a business that becomes an asset where you are able to do all the things in life that are important, things like your daughter's little league game, or whatever that might be, and still make a lot of money at the same time, and to have and to be a great manager, maybe have flexibility with your time and have a great team that is running it. That's the idea.
Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting show of the About That Water podcast, where we help the sandwich generation build strong financial habits. My name is Anthony Weaver, and we have an awesome opportunity today to actually talk about franchises. Today, we have a guest who is a franchise coach, a consultant who specializes in matching people with the right franchise opportunity for them to actually have that opportunity to build thousands of possibilities in their lifestyle. And for you as a sandwich generation, you're always looking for a plan B, something that's flexible and scalable. This is the episode for you. Adam, I don't want to hold you any further. Round of applause for Adam Goldman. Thank you for coming to the show today.
Thank you so much, Anthony. So happy to be here today. And I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What is the sandwich generation?
So the sandwich generation are the people who actually are caretakers of their parents and also have kids, usually age range around between 30 to 65, depending on...
That is very much the franchisee age as well. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit more about like the franchisee, like why a franchise?
So look, I mean, what I can tell you about the whole franchising industry, and I'm Exhibit A, right? I bought a franchise and owned it for 8.5 years, and it was successful. And I want people to have the same sort of success I had. What I would say is there's a misconception in my industry that if you invest in a franchise, you're investing in a quick service restaurant or fast food, and you're going to be flipping hamburgers in the back. I work with brands that are pre-screened in 75 different industries. So people are just kind of blown away at how many different things are franchises they didn't realize are franchises, and also in the different variation in the lifestyle that you could have. I have things that are owner-operator, which are more time-intensive, but I have things that are semi-absentee that you can run on the side.
Now, that is intriguing because a lot of us, we juggle in so many different things, but just don't have the bandwidth to really start a new venture. And, you always hear like, hey, you should start a business, versus just buying a business and now to even franchising. So why franchising seems so sexy now?
The reason why I think it is, right? It's glamorous, is because I liken it to riding a bike with training wheels, right? Or to start your own business with training wheels. You are your own boss, but you're not alone. And because of this system, in a book called The E-Myth by Gerber, he talks about how important that system is. You can start a business any day of the week, especially in Texas, right? You kind of go onto the website, okay, I'm an LLC, right? Or I'm a DBA. But to actually go ahead and to have systems and processes that are great, and that takes a lot of work, and that's what you're really buying into with a franchise.
So what would be a good franchise? Well, let's talk about your story. Like, what was your very first franchise?
My one and only franchise. I actually was kind of at a career transition in 2010. So I'm actually going ahead and aging myself, and I had a real estate investment company that was great. But I found that a lot of people after the 2008 recession, just a lot of people were going into the real estate market and competing with me for good deals. And so I looked at a few different brands through a coach and decided to invest in office cleaning. I owned an office cleaning master franchise in Houston for 8.5 years. And I didn't do it because, wow, I'm just passionate about cleaning toilets for a living. I was just passionate about building a business. They gave me the tools because I've never been great at process. I'm really much better at following process.
And one of the things about, how can I say, I had this discussion with somebody recently, and it was like, how do you find happiness in the work that you do? It just seems so boring and stuff like that. And I was like, well, you gotta come into work with a different mindset. Like, if you come into work to say like, hey, I'm here, like you said, if you working at a fast food restaurant, well, I'm just here to flip burgers. Or you look at it as a mindset of like, hey, I'm here to learn a skill, a process of how they are able to continue to get customers. What does their marketing plan looks like? What is the process so that they can hire brand new staff without creating a whole new system and everybody can start from the ground up? Like, how can I do that? And that's my take on this. Like, we can look at the same stuff, but it's just how do we actually want to make that more impactful, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. I mean, look, what I can tell you is that everyone's different. One of the best traits for my candidates are ones that have an open mind. If 'cause people come into my process limited and they say, hey, Adam, I only want Chick-fil-A, I can't really help them. I mean, I didn't go into the process knowing that I wanted to go ahead and clean toilets and to be in this business. But the fact that I had an open mind, that was positive. And it's positive for my candidates as well.
So, what business have you found that majority of the clients that come to you decide to go into? Which particular franchise?
So very interesting. In doing this work for over 8 years now, my candidates have bought hundreds of franchises, right? And many, many more territories as well. On average, my candidates buy about 3 territories each. And when I go through who's bought what and over the past year, it's not really a pattern. There are different patterns, different things going on. So for instance, before the pandemic, lots of cyclical businesses, right? Like fitness. And then after the pandemic, there was kind of a rush towards essential businesses. Now in 2025, people are still interested in service companies, but I've seen there's kind of a trend for going back to these brick and mortar businesses, fitness related. And yeah, it's interesting how there's different waves. And I'm less focused on the widget and more focused on characteristics that are ideal for my candidates.
Can you talk about the essential businesses? Because
Yeah.
for people who just don't know.
So, look, let's talk about the pandemic. You're stuck at home and you don't know what to do, but the last thing you probably want to do is to clean your house. So, I'd say house cleaning is an essential business.
Yes.
Something else like, let's say that you have an aging parent, home health care would be considered an essential business. Anything that's need to have, not nice to have.
Okay, because I remember there was something that was almost like that quasi gray area, which was like the barbershops and the beauty salons.
Yep,
Because,
exactly.
yeah. So,
I would call, look, I would call a barbershop to be an essential business. But when I talk about essential businesses and franchising, I'm thinking about things that are non brick and mortar that you need to
mhm,
have, like plumbing or air conditioning or whatever that might be.
okay. So, getting into a franchise now, like say the person's listening to this right now, it's like, okay, I see where y'all going at. I see why franchises could be sexy. How do I even start to look into a franchise? Where would I go?
So, look, you have two options, right? The first option is that you can go ahead and and look on Franchise 500. You can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Gemini, you can go to Grok. It doesn't matter, right? You can go there and just kind of find out in general, but there's so many of them and it's really hard to narrow down. And my experience is that people that don't use a coach, they just kind of get bogged down in details and not really are able to focus on the ones that are best fits, right? They spend too much time in that ocean. People that go ahead and take advantage of my free service, I get paid by the franchise brand if I make a successful connection. The way it works is they first fill out a survey. Even before the survey, we make sure that they could qualify. People typically need about $50,000 in cash and a net worth of about $150,000 to qualify. There is financing available. And then we fill out a survey first. We have a more in depth conversation after that. Then we have a 2-page letter or model to kind of narrow down even more. And then we connect our candidates with 3 brands that are a good fit for them.
And if they don't have the money right up front, I know you said financing it, like to have it finance available. Is it like through a bank or do the company help fund some of that? Or they do like a partnership deal?
So when I mean financing available, it's all the above. Sometimes it's banks, commercial loans. Sometimes it's going ahead and the franchise brand will finance it. Sometimes it's the U.S. government through SBA loans, right? That's another option if people have good credit. But sometimes it's friends and family, right? Or sometimes it's actually going ahead and tapping your 401k or home equity,
Yeah, tapping that
or even a
401k
loan against the stock market.
as far as like a
So
marginal loan, correct?
yeah, so I mean, look, right now interest rates are quite high. If you own stock and you don't want to sell it, you could actually borrow against it at a pretty good rate.
I've seen that happen during my brokerage, and I never even thought to actually tap into that. That's something to think about to start a business. So, like, what did you even have seed money when you started yours?
So great question. I mean, look, I have amazing parents. They put a mortgage on their house in order to finance my first business. So talk about
Nice.
risky.
Yeah. Very lucky with that one. Like, was there like stipulations like, look, you better have dinner with us every Friday. We want to see you. Like, what, what was the stipulations on that?
Really blessed to have parents that have always been behind, but had my back. So I really appreciate that, and I want to be like that with my kids.
Do your kids currently looking into a franchise now, or
They are not. They would love to be business owners, but they're 7, 10, and 13. So
gotta keep them entertained?
absolutely.
Besides Roblox and everything like that.
Oh my gosh, that's a great. I mean, they're excited about Roblox. Even my 13-year-old is.
Yeah, I just recently bought some options with Roblox just to kind of see
Okay.
where it goes.
Yeah,
Surprisingly, it's still going up though.
it's unbelievable.
So when it comes to franchises, it's like we hear about them, we see them. You just showed us a way that we can actually start talking about them and getting the money up for it. Why is it important that we keep franchises as an option for our finances? Why is it a good plan B?
Look, I would say it's great to have diversification. And yes, you want to make money, right? But I would say that my candidates are buying these not only because of dollars and cents, it's about a lifestyle, it's about freedom. It's not necessarily, okay, I don't want to work, right? It's more like I want to work on my own terms. So that's the reason why it is about dollars and cents. If you buy into the right one, it could be very, very lucrative, but it's also about lifestyle.
And can you talk about the lifestyle a little bit more? Because we obviously the people don't have that much time to deal with everything. So, like, do they need to build a team from the beginning, or can they do this by themselves?
So what I can tell you is this, that all of the above, I really believe the American dream hasn't ended, right? I see certain situations where it might be harder. I think of franchising as being a part of the American dream. And part of the American dream is to be able to work on your own terms and to have what you want for yourself and for your family. And so in an ideal franchise world, you're able to build a business that becomes an asset where you are able to do all the things in life that are important, things like your daughter's little league game or whatever that might be, and still make a lot of money at the same time, and to be a great manager, maybe have flexibility with your time and have a great team that is running it. That's the ideal. Now, you might have to start and put some sweat and blood and tears at the beginning, but hopefully you can get there at some point.
And once you get there to that point, it's like, how do I say, we have our parents in the mist and in the wind, and we want something so we can spend more time with them. Obviously, like, because they're getting older, we want to make sure that they are doing well in case they get that one phone call, hey, they fell. I want to be able to go ahead on and stop what I'm doing to go rush to make sure that they're okay. But you're saying the franchise is able to provide that type of flexibility?
Yeah, you're your own boss, right? I mean, it's not like someone's saying to you, hey, how come you're not here?
Right.
I mean, look, some of my favorite candidates are ones that have worked on oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, talk about an extreme, Anthony. Like, you're literally away from your family for 3 weeks a month. You might get compensated great, but what kind of life is that?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so that makes sense. So you're your own boss. You can do this on your own. But I guess my thing is now is that, okay, how do you form a team to get into a franchise? So like if you got a couple buddies and say like, hey, we are just going to pool our money. We're all going to do some loans and try to jump into this together. Do you have any like recommendations or lessons learned from people who are trying to do partnerships with their friends and close ones?
Well, some people say that the only ship that doesn't sail is the partnership, right? So you have to kind of go ahead and you could use that going forward. But no, I mean, look, in any partnership, just make sure. My advice is that find people that, number one, you trust, right? Always go into the partnership knowing how, if something doesn't work out, with the end in mind, right? How that would look like, and also try to, if you're working with someone else, make sure that they have something that you don't necessarily have. And it might be a situation where one person is providing financing and the other person isn't, or whatever that might be, right? But just try and find people that have complementary skills to you.
Okay. And as far as the legal side of the house,
yes,
because obviously we need to make sure we compensate it that way as well. When we start this franchise, the majority of the time they already come with all of the backing, all the how to do things, SOPs, processes, stuff like that. Do we need legal coverage when we're trying to utilize a franchise, or is this something that they already come in and their legal team already looked at it?
So are you talking more like, hey, I have a bouncy house franchise and I have legal representation?
Yes.
So that's actually one of the best things about the franchising world, in that if you were to start a bouncy house, and by the way, orthopedics love bouncy houses because that's just I mean, it's crazy how many kids get hurt at them. If you buy into one of those kids related entertainment, they actually have an infrastructure as to when it comes to legal help or a group rate on insurance.
Okay. And that would be awesome. Okay. Well, now that you're talking about insurance, like how is that all laid out? Is it the
Well,
same
let's
way?
talk about this. So when I owned my office cleaning master franchise,
Hmm.
I actually had a group rate on insurance, a liability insurance. I was able to get it at a discounted rate
Through your company.
through the parent company. Yes.
Okay. So did
And
you?
that actually talks about another benefit, Anthony, of franchising, which is group buying power.
So talk more about the group buying power. Just from, I mean, you talk about insurance, but is there any other?
Sure. If you own a flooring company
Hmm.
and you're one of many franchisees, your price would be a lot lower than if you were to buy just as one person in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
That makes sense. Okay. So then they can do group insurance, group life insurance. Oh, because we also a franchise, when it comes to the 401k process or like some type of retirement entity, how is that all set up the same way? We use the same one that the corporate office will have or the main franchise will have?
My experience is that the vast majority of franchisees are able to have a 401k as if they are an independent business, meaning I believe it's called a self-directed 401k or I-401k, whatever that is for a business owner. And a
Okay.
lot of people don't know about this too, but as a business owner, you're able to create a pension plan as well that would allow you to sock money away at a lot higher than normal rates than if you were working for someone else.
Well, we like that because
Yeah, absolutely.
we're all about the money over here. How can we spread that wealth?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So from a legacy perspective of like you say, you have your kids, say if they decide to come into business with you and take over, how do you set that up from your end?
Talk about me personally.
Yes.
So look, I'm a little bit different in that I own a coaching and consulting practice, right? So not sure if my kids want to be franchise coaches and consultants going forward. Maybe in order for them to have credibility, they'd probably have to buy into a franchise first. And so if I still owned my franchise, I would probably just be in a situation where they would learn the business and then eventually they might take over if they were interested in office cleaning.
All right. But if it wasn't you and like say you want to set it up outside of it, it's pretty much the same process.
Absolutely.
So, but why franchises in the first place? Because you talked about it, why you like it, why it's sexy. Is there something that you don't like about the business model that you want to change?
Well, you can't really change it, but by definition, in exchange for getting the system and the brand, you're paying royalty fees, right? You're paying franchise fees and royalty fees. And some people don't like to pay those, right? So you have to ask yourself if that is more valuable than what you're getting in exchange for those.
Okay, so those royalty fees, do you have to pay those annually or how often?
Monthly.
Oh, monthly? I thought they were. Jeez.
Yes. Yes. So it's typically a percentage of revenue.
Okay.
Some brands are as high as 20%, which makes it really hard to get money in your pocket. A brand like Kumon is like 20% royalty fees. But what happens is their fee to get in is much lower. That's kind of their business model as a franchisor, whereas other brands have only a 4% royalty fee on the low end.
But the upfront costs are high to get
Yes,
started.
that's
Okay.
correct.
What is the cheapest franchise that you've come across so far?
So, look, there might be really inexpensive franchises, but in my inventory, the least expensive things I have all in, and as I mentioned, there are financing opportunities available. It's about $125,000 all in.
Okay. And that's the one time to get started, and then also the monthly fees based on the sales that come out.
That's correct. So it's a one-time investment of 125 on the low end, I would say. So for example, you buy a mosquito spraying business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pay around $40,000 to $50,000 for the IP,
Right.
and then you go ahead and you invest in a truck and some spray, and then you're ready to go.
Okay. Still, and then the warehouse to store it because you can't park it in your regular thing. So you need to figure out where you're going to park your vehicle.
And that might be part of your 125 or 100K because that might be only 2 or 3,000 per month as opposed to 10 to 20 because it's not on Main Street in a Class A space.
Right. Man. Okay. Good thing I did a little research. Because this is interesting to see from a franchise perspective, and really because I've seen somebody recently on Instagram was talking about their Subway business. Subway, if you're listening, please let me know if you want to sponsor the show. But how they actually talked about their full capex expenses to get prepared for the franchise. Can you explain it? Look, I mean, obviously I'm just a host, but you have more expertise in this area. So, what would be a good way to kind of like the balance sheet from a franchise perspective?
Well, the best way is to talk to existing franchisees, right?
Yeah.
To call them up and say, hey, how's the business going? I'm putting together a pro forma. Could you please help me with my expense ratios here? Because I'm not sure what percent to put in.
Should you do that before you even start the business, or
absolutely? Because that's a big part of whether or not you're going to invest in the business or not.
Gotcha.
To ask existing franchisees, especially in markets like yours, to see what's going on or not, to see if it could work in your market.
Okay, because I'm thinking of like a sub shop besides Subway, but any other sub shop, and just be like, just walk up to the manager or the franchise owner and be just because sometimes they're not there.
I get it. No. So let's say, for instance, if I'm, and by the way, food's a tough business, low margin, right? Mm-hmm. Typically really hard from a lifestyle perspective. So the vast majority of my placements are non-food. But Anthony, I mean, like if you were to potentially investigate a food concept with me, you would go to the franchise disclosure document and speak with franchisees in markets like yours and ask them questions. And every franchise brand is required to give you the name and phone number of everyone that's a franchisee.
Interesting. Okay, so you can do your own research.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, can you walk me through, say somebody coming to you fresh out the boat, or you looking into another franchise? Just walk you through the soup to nuts of that. Like, where would you start?
Someone comes to me, right? So first, I make sure that they are financially viable, right? Okay. I would also want to make sure, that they have a compelling emotional reason to invest in a franchise, right? And then, presuming that's the case, they fill out this 5-minute survey. Mm-hmm. And then we go ahead and have a follow-up chat. And then I write this model. And then I connect them with 3 brands. And then they start due diligence on the brands with my help. So the first step is just kind of a getting to know you phone call between them and the franchise development rep. After that call, they go ahead and they look at a franchise disclosure document, which is a 200-page document, not an NDA, but just kind of a regulatory document by the Federal Trade Commission, mm-hmm. in which you're able to kind of find out things such as what the average cost is or the names and phone numbers of existing franchisees. Then after that, which comes the most important part, where they call or visit in-person franchisees of this brand and ask them really personal questions like, how much money are you making? Right. And how good is the support? And I coach my candidates to not speak with people in their home market, because all of a sudden when you speak to them, magically that territory gets snatched up when these neighbors realize that someone else is looking at it. Then they look at systems. And then after that, they go ahead and they go on something called a Meet the Team Day, where they get to know the franchise brand well. I believe that this is a cultural match, along with just a match in general. And they're looking for red flags. And then they say yes or no. And my candidates are really able to say yes or no within a pretty reasonable amount of time, about 20 hours of research.
Wow. Okay, so you already got a tight ship. And so when somebody comes to you, just like roll out the red carpet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You sound like you're Riverside, rolling out the red carpet.
Yes, that's right there. They did say that. So we come up to the future segment of the show, which is the areas of focus that you feel as though that could actually help improve your areas do you feel as though will be most beneficial for you?
So for me, my business works best when I talk to people that have a compelling emotional reason to invest in franchises, as many of these people as possible. And any technology that allows me to speak to as many of these people at the right time is great, right? So I'm always looking, and I don't know what that technology is. Maybe you can enlighten me, but it's just, if I could speak to more people like that, that would be the best possible thing for my business.
Nice. For me, I would say the best place is always conferences.
I get
It's
it.
always been. It's sadly, but it's the in person aspect is the best way. If you can get on the stage for somebody, I found that to be the most helpful.
So for me, it's referrals. That's the best place, and that my favorite place to find people to invest, especially from my successful placements. That's really a good situation to be in.
Nice. So that means you. I mean, obviously, you on the show and talking about all the cool things that, like, as far as rolling out everything, and then plus the product placement. And one of the things I agree with you is really taking that time to understand the person before they even jump into it, which is the most amazing thing that they could ever do is really figure out why do you want to do this, and do you even have the time to do it?
And look,
Even if they might have money.
I want to say in 2025, with AI becoming more and more popular, and many people thinking that AI can do things that frankly it can't, that's where I come in. It's a human element that AI can never do.
Okay, so you almost like recession proof then.
We actually, frankly, in our business, when there's a recession and when there's just kind of displacement in the job market, that's when people tend to invest more in franchises.
I never even thought about it that way. Wonder why. Part of the research. So is there anything that you want to leave before we dive into the final 4 questions?
Should I talk about how to get a hold of me now, or should we wait?
You can do it now, and then we can do it later again.
Okay, great. So anyone's interested in finding out more, please go to franchiseadam.com or franchisecoach.net and book a free 15-minute chat with me.
All right. So you ready for the final 4 questions?
I'm ready.
Number 1, what does wealth mean to you?
For me, wealth equals freedom, right? Being able to do what I want when I want to do it.
Right. Number 2, what was your worst money mistake?
I've been blessed in that I haven't made so many mistakes, but one of the worst things I've done is giving out unsecured loans without any collateral, just hoping things would work out. These things that seem too good to be true are too good to be true.
Can you say what it was?
I gave a personal loan to a friend of a friend, and it was just dumb in hindsight. There was no collateral. It was just kind of a handshake deal, and I ended up losing money with this. It was just stupid.
We all been there.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not in that level.
By the way, huge shout out to the game Cash Flow. My kids love playing it. I don't know if it's by Richard Kiyosaki. It's phenomenal. And it's all about getting cash flow, right? So even in there, they kind of give you these traps like, hey, your friend needs money. Do you want to give it to them? So
you say no every time.
Exactly.
Number 3, is there a book that inspired your journey or changed your perspective?
So for sure, the E-Myth, right? I think that he, as a guy that's frankly not great at process, he kind of boiled down as to the pitfalls of entrepreneurship on your own.
Such a great book. Number 4, what is your favorite dish to make?
I'm not the cook. I'm not a great cook, but I don't know what, I could never be vegetarian because I just love lamb. Lamb is my thing. Somehow it seems like a lean meat. I don't know how, I mean, it is a red meat, right? But to grill a good shank of lamb, or a lamb steak, I'm happy all day long.
Yeah, happy Adam.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is the very last question of the show, which is, where could people find out more about you?
So best place is on franchisecoach.net or at franchiseadam.com.
All right. Well, thank you, Adam, so much for your time. And for those of you who are listening and you say like, hey, you know what? I've got everything at least to understand like, hey, I need some capital. And even if I don't have some capital, I know somebody that can help me out. to align the finances with me so that we can go down and get this franchise going. And please definitely reach out to Adam anytime. And definitely reference this show, how you found out about him, because I want to see you to be successful for you and your family, your kids, and even your parents. And I want you to be successful. All right, everybody, we out.
Thank you so much, Anthony.